Hey. It's Wednesday night. I think it's quiet. I think chat not working. When I say chat, I mean Matrix not working because it's been out all day, although it seems like it's just coming back. Has folks doing other stuff. So, but we will wrap up the day. I'll stick around for a couple minutes. We'll chat about what's going on, and it'll be a good time. Cool. What do we got going on? Okay, cool. Two big things today. So, ooh, that's interesting. Why is that failing? It's probably Clippy. Oh, interesting. Oh, I guess I'm missing some tests. Ah, that's a good thing to note. Okay, so let's go back to what already got merged. So what I was talking about this morning was doing some touch-ups on the stream interface. And the big thing that I did was restore so it's not actually going to show up in this diff because I kind of changed everything and then changed it back. But got the lifetimes plumbed back in there. And a big thing was also adding a test that would get tested in Miri for making sure the stuff that I changed with the sockets actually works and doesn't cause any Miri errors. But it seems to be working fairly well. Haven't run into any issues yet. So that's running. Yeah, I'm excited for this. We get some new nice user interface stuff, like when you want to subscribe box, so you could pass around this receiver. So you could actually like return it by value or pass it around, which I do in some of the tests. You can now create a server, box pin it, and then do subscribe boxed, and all of a sudden you have a receiver that you can move around and pass around, and it doesn't feel as constraining as the one that I need to turn my music down. It doesn't feel as constraining as the one that's pinned on embedded. You don't get this if you're on embedded, but if you're on the desktop, then you're good. So that's that. That's working. And then, like I talked to Alexandra about, the next plan is to start working towards bridging, or like the actual routing with more than one interface. So let me pull up the book. I can remind you what I'm going for here. In the feature overview, right now we can do like these direct point-to-point links, or like a hub and spoke one to N sort of thing. And the goal is to work towards this, where we can have one device with one in the middle that can go, oh, if I get a packet from over here, I need to send it that way. And if I get a packet from over here, I can send it that way if I need to. While also still, like, you can still send here to here, or you could send here to here without any problems. So that is the hope. So working towards that, and in order to do that, one of the things that I'm starting with is I'm starting to add a source interface. This is probably small. Add a source interface, so all of the send methods, they can now take, well, not all of them, because send tie and send borrowed is only for messages that like originate locally. So those don't have an interface identifier. But when we're sending errors, which could come from a remote interface, we take an option ident. And when we do send raw, which is specifically, I think it's always when you're sending from an interface to the net stack. Like, this is the interfaces interface most of the time, because it's receiving things off the wire and it's putting them in. It has the ability to tell you what source it's from. And the reason it does that is because there's a new kind of error called routing loop. So if the routing decides that we should send a message back to the interface that it came in on, we're just not going to do that. And we're going to return a routing loop error, which says, don't do that. And so I've been plumbing that through. One big thing that took some time is that right now, the direct router, so when we have The way that I've implemented this right now, just to like not duplicate code, is these devices are direct edge devices, so they have a single interface. Like each of these have a single interface, and the direct router is the name of the profile that this central device uses. And right now, it actually, what it does is it has like an array of direct edges, and it goes, okay, if I have a message for this one, then I send it. So it's almost like the code thinks that it's a point-to-point link. But that doesn't play nice, because if I want profiles to do that sort of like, I refuse to ever send a message that came in from me, then that becomes a problem when you have interfaces that think that they are a point-to-point link, because they go, oh, if I've been handed something, then it must be, if I've been handed a raw message, it must be from me because I'm the only interface. So what I've done is I've actually kind of gotten rid of that. And right now, it's kind of gross. It's copied and pasted a lot of code. So basically, I copied and pasted a lot of the code out of Direct Edge and into Direct Router. And then I changed Direct Edge so that it will no longer, like, it doesn't even handle raw messages anymore. It just says, nope, if you ask me to handle a raw message, I refuse. But in Direct Router, I kind of have a copied and pasted version of it that doesn't have that check. Because I'm saying you're not actually a profile anymore. You're just like a fancy interface. And I might need some kind of structure for this. I haven't totally figured out what that's going to look like. And then the second thing that I figured out is when I'm figuring out routing. So this is in the direct router. When you get a message and you ask the router to say, hey, find where this goes. It goes, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to look at, actually this is wrong even, because right now this assumes that we're like a point-to-point link. So what it does is it just looks it up by network ID. And if it finds a destination, first we need to check, I mean, this is one of those things that because we asked the profile, hey, is this yours? The profile has to figure out if it's its. And I was doing that check, but I was doing that check a little bit later. Instead, I'm doing that check a little bit more aggressively now. But now that I talk about it, I'm realizing that this actually kind of all needs to be reworked. Like, I actually kind of just need to get rid of the idea of a direct router, because, or it needs to change at least. Because this search basically just says, okay, I look up the destination's network ID, and if I find it, then I give it to that one. And what I actually need to be doing is keeping a small routing table for each interface that says, like, what network IDs are in this direction. So instead of just like a binary search by network ID, I need to be doing a deeper search of that. So that's something that we'll have to change. But at least for now, I've got this working, where at least these changes as I've made them now still generally work. So one of the things that I have is I have the router and 2 clients. And this isn't actually going to be that interesting, because it's just going to be a lot of logging. But they still can talk to each other, basically. And that took some thinking. But it generally works now. So they're happy to talk to each other. They can discover each other. We can send log messages to the... we can send log messages back. We can see that discovery's working. So it's generally still working, which is nice. But we haven't actually taken any of the steps towards routing yet. But, you know, you got to start somewhere. And I've also kind of been thinking about what we need to do for routing. So it'll be interesting, because I need to kind of basically get rid of the direct router and come up with a new name for it, because it's not really direct anymore. Well, I guess it kind of is. I think I just need to make the direct router smarter, in that... Like I said, it needs to keep track of what it needs to keep track of what is downstream of it, basically. Because we might end up having, for this example, if this network ID was 10 and this one was 20, when this one goes, okay, I have a packet for 20, if it only looked through its local interfaces, like let's say it had 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, it would go, oh, I have none of those. But it actually needs to know that 10 has 20 behind it. So it actually needs to do sort of like a deeper search for that. Or I need to handle that sort of one level up and keep a table of what the network ID is. Actually, that's probably what I need to do. I need to change that. Yeah, I probably end up needing to have like 2 hash maps, like one that is a listing of the network IDs and what interface they go to, and then a hash map of interface IDs to the actual interfaces themselves. And I'm kind of talking to myself on this one, but I think it does make sense. So I'm pretty happy with that. That's what I'm working on next. There's still some cleanup that could be done, like that 9 Names mentioned. I'm still interested in doing that, but I do like the idea of getting bridging basically working. And given my limited time, I've got about a week before I go to Rust China Conf. This feels maybe doable, or at least demoable as a achievable. Maybe it won't be super reliable, or there'll still be questions to have, but yeah, I think it's doable. Or at least we'll see. If not, I'll have something fun to talk about how hard routing is. But there's 1 or 2 people in the chat, so if anyone has any questions or wants to say hey, now's a good time. This is about what I've gotten done. I don't think there are any new issues or discussions, so it's mostly just been chewing on unsafe code. I did talk to Eliza. We might get a design review. I don't know if it'll be a stream or something recorded or just a conversation, but I probably should go in and document all of my unsafe code. But yeah, I think that's what's going on. I'm going to keep chugging on this. I expect to probably clean up and merge this pretty soon, and then take the next step, which would be, I don't know what the next step towards bridging and routing would be. I think it's probably adding those routing tables, like I said. I think I'm going to start with just work on STUD or standard library right now, so I can use like normal full hash maps and stuff like that, and then sort out some of the basic, like, hey, ooh, good voice crack. Some of the, hey, I need a network ID assigned to me stuff, because there's a couple. Like, it's one of those, when you start adding features, you go, great, it can do that, but nothing can actually use that. And then I keep overturning things like, okay, cool, then the next thing we need to do is the ability to request network IDs and things like that, and keep alive network IDs, and then running a bridge router or a seed server that will hand them out. So we'll get there. We'll see how far I make it in a week, and then at some point I need to stop and make slides and figure out exactly what I'm talking about at Rust China Conf, because it's certainly not fully working. Well, I mean, it does work. It's just we're still in the, hey, you should experiment with this phase. But that's probably just what I'll say. But yeah, I think that's about it. I need to go figure out dinner. For anyone hanging out in the chat, I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I will catch you all on Matrix once Matrix is back alive. All right, talk to y'all later.